If you served in the military for at least 4 years, were honorably discharged, have taken 60 college credits, and passed a subject area exam, we want you to be able to teach Florida students. Our veterans have a wealth of knowledge and experience they can bring to bear in the classroom, and with this innovative approach, they will be able to do so for 5 years with a temporary certification as they work towards their degree. For too long, the requirements to be a teacher have been too rigid, with union bosses insisting that all educators get certain credentials that often have little impact on teaching performance. Every morning, our students recite the Pledge of Allegiance while looking at the Star-Spangled Banner. And it's fitting that the teacher in the classroom is somebody who took an oath and put his or her life on the line to preserve, protect, and defend our flag and the freedom it represents. From devil dogs to salty dogs and doughboys to flyboys, we respect our veterans and know that they have a lot to offer. Thanks so much, and God bless.
You guys paying attention to what's going on? Ron DeSantis talking about, first off, when a bunch of teachers get run out of their profession for multiple reasons, let's start replacing them with military personnel, and let's lower some standards so they can get them in easier. The same Ron DeSantis who wants to change the curriculum, eliminate math if it mentions that black folks exist, to also just having history that has absolutely nothing to do with actual history because it might hurt someone's feelings. This is the guy who wants to put former military personnel in positions of teachers because they've now run the teachers out. Just pay attention to that because this bill was introduced in June. The Florida Legislature passed this bill that granted approval for former and present members of the military to teach in classrooms. DeSantis announced the move as part of an $8.6 million package to expand career and workforce training opportunities for veterans and their spouses. I wonder why he's doing that for veterans now. Oh, it's only for that, that's right. Moving on to this, here's some of the requirements. Candidates must have a minimum of 60 college credits with a 2.5 grade point average and a passing score on a Florida subject area examination for bachelor's level subjects. They're required to have served a minimum of 48 months with an honorable or medical discharge. If they have a shortage, they'll probably go with dishonorable discharge too. Who cares? As long as we have military leaders that are in the classrooms while kids are reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to make sure whose hands are not on their hearts, which hands are not above their heads as they're saluting this flag. This is the picture in Ron DeSantis' mind that he thinks is gonna be great for American schools. There's a TikToker that broke this whole thing down and this chilling aspect of having veterans do these types of work because they're veterans and not because they would be good teachers. Watch.
Okay, so the state of Florida is now going to allow people to be teachers in a classroom if they're in the military, retired from the military, or a spouse of one of those. I'm going to do a dystopian take on why it makes perfect sense. I used to work in Florida next to one of the largest Air Force bases in the world, so I have some ground to speak on. Okay. I mean, we know about the school to prison pipeline and the militarization of schools, right? We want teachers to have guns, and we don't want to pay for gun training, so hire military people that are already trained. Military personnel can enforce a dress code, maintain a strict schedule, and blindly follow orders even if they disagree. They can look at a new teacher and say, I had it worse than you, and mean it because they were literally abused by drill sergeants. You're accustomed to emotional abuse. The hallmark of public education is believing that your district or county is better than anyone else. And a hallmark of American militarization is believing we're the best country in the world. They know all this. That's the reasons why they wanted to do it. And as I was talking about that school shortages, the school shortage that's going on, let's ignore the reasons why, but has been talked about. Let's jump down to graphic 5, you guys, because the Axios did point out that school districts across America will do anything for more teachers. They're worried about these shortages. And the problem always was pay or access to supplies, things like that. Anyways, more on that because the wage gap between teachers and the rest of the comparably educated workforce was about 21% in 2018. That disparity was a much smaller 6% back in 1996. According to analysis from the Economic Policy Institute. So some of these schools, in order to, I guess, address that, have offered some incentives monetarily, like Florida, Arizona, they've taken some approaches like this. Doug Ducey signed a law in 2017 permitting people without formal training to teach in the classroom as long as they have at least 5 years of experience in a field that's relevant to their classroom subject. Ducey took things a step further this year with a law eliminating the requirement that teachers have a bachelor's degree, instead only requiring that they only be enrolled in college. So military school, Burbank,
It's military school, and you notice Ron DeSantis wasn't talking about how kids will learn necessarily better, or they'll be more prepared for the workforce, or be prepared for life in general, and maybe even living in a society. What it actually is he's worried about them reciting the pledge correctly and on time. It's crazy.
Of course not. This is not about the kids. This is not about, having better public education. No. And of course they say, we'll do anything for more teachers. We need more teachers. Everything except raise the wage for teachers or give them supplies for their schools. As you said, I'm really glad we're covering this. I've been following this for a while, and it's interesting because it's not like the state is paying for them to get a master's degree and necessary training to become a teacher. They have a very shortened training period that is just like so small in scale compared to what most teachers go through to get their certification. Teachers are upset about this in Florida. Parents are upset about this in Florida. If I was a kid, I would also be upset about this in Florida. The last thing I want is someone who was in the military asking me where my homework is. Absolutely not. And it's a part of this larger mission of DeSantis largely leading the effort to get teachings about LGBTQ issues from schools. Critical race theory is a big one. For so long in the South in the United States, they have not been teaching an accurate history of what happened during the era of slavery in the United States. And this is about correcting that and teaching accurate history. Instead, we have these people who are used to taking commands from folks higher up, who I'm sure would be fine to scrap critical race theory and an accurate teaching of history in the US schools, which is really what it is. And so if I was in a teachers union and I was in Florida, I would be using the union to fight this. I would really like to see that happen.
Well, that was apparently one of the problems. They're pointing out all these unions and the problems that we've all, in a matter of them trying to actually get some kind of representation and fairness in their work. Maybe recognized as humans, all that type of stuff that we don't do in America. I want you guys to just pay attention because they're saying it out loud. This isn't hidden. So all we do is listen and maybe respond.